Good morning, Roy Ganga. Welcome to Conversations with Cindy. How are you?
I am doing fine, thank you, Cindy. Good morning.
It's so exciting to be here, especially because this is our first actual Conversations with Cindy where it's not all about me, but it's about you today. And people, I am so excited to have you tuning into our channel. This is the very first Conversations with Cindy, and the whole purpose is to share other people's stories, incredible journeys that have happened to us. Whereas Tony Robbins says, we take our messages and we make them into our message. Now, I'm not saying we all want to live through all the things that we lived through again, but the fact is that we do have incredible stories. And today, with us, my dear friend that I know from Toastmasters, Roy Ganga, distinguished Toastmaster, is here to speak today. Let me share a little bit about Roy with you, because if you ask Roy, he won't tell you about himself. So I'm going to let him be humble and I'm going to introduce him. Besides being a great Toastmaster, Roy Ganga is a top rated keynote speaker delivering motivational and inspiring talks on leadership, change management, creativity, innovation, self confidence, and finding your purpose. He has over 30 years expert management experience, someone else close to my age, I'm happy to say, conflict management, delegation, cultural diversity, and ethical leadership. Roy is a credible resource on social issues, including suicide awareness and prevention, bullying, family disintegration, domestic violence, sexual abuse. He is the president and founder of Energize Your Voice. His passion for motivating and inspiring people drives him to connect with other individuals, to inspire him and motivate them to realize their full potential. Roy is the recipient of multiple awards for his outstanding leadership, communication, and community services globally. He is a recipient of Toastmasters International President Citation Award and currently serves on the board of directors for Toastmasters International as an international director. I have to say, I'm jealous of that President Citation Award. That is a huge, huge deal. Roy, congratulations on all of your accomplishments.
Thank you very much, Cindy.
I can say that I knew him one day as he grows up within the world, but I'm so proud of everything you've done. I've met you probably, I want to say 15 years ago, maybe
Wrong.
close,
Yes,
close to that.
what's that?
And during that time, I've been Roy's mentor. He's been my mentor and a very good friend. And I'm very excited to have you here today. You have an incredible story that was not mentioned in that bio. So, being the person I am doing interviews, I'm going to say, Roy, I don't want to hear about your leadership right now, but I want to hear about you. I want you to tell us the incredible story that you lived through a few years ago that very few people know. So, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Cindy. Thank you very much. It's something, as you mentioned, it's something that I don't broadcast to the world because I think life is, personal. It's personal stories, but there are situations and there are times when you have to share these things so that people understand, especially people who are going through some challenges. In April of 2014, I was healthy. I'm a healthy guy, go to the gym, do everything that I'm supposed to do. But at the beginning of 2014, I went to my doctor for my annual checkup. And as he was sounding me and doing all that good stuff for a physical, he said, Roy, I'm hearing a whooshing sound in your heart. I said, what does that mean? He said, and he put the stethoscope to my ear. And I said, yeah, I hear it, but I don't know what it means. And he said, well, it sounds like you have a leaky valve somewhere, but I'm going to send you to a cardiologist. So the next day I went to the cardiologist and he did the same. And he said, wow, you do have a leaky valve. And from that point on, we did a lot of series of tests, more diagnosis, more opinions to make sure that I'm doing okay, because I found out that the only thing they can do to fix a leaky valve is open heart surgery. And I was not going to let anybody cut open my chest for no reason. But after it was confirmed that I do have to get this thing done because I can be standing right there and drop dead. And that was going to be devastating to my family. So in April of 2014, I had that new lease on life where I had the open heart surgery. Everything went well. It was a long day, very, tiring for my family, more for me as well as I recovered. But I thought everything was over. I came back home after a week in the hospital and started recovering, and my recovery went really well. I went back to work. I had a very good job, went back to work, and within 2 weeks, so that is around June of 2014. So remember, I had the surgery in April. So within 2 months, back to work, and I came home one afternoon from work, and the weirdest things happen. And I'm going to tell you guys here, right? Know your body, know the signs of your body, know what it's telling you. Because I came home that afternoon and I had a shower, and then when I looked in the mirror, all I could see was half of my body. The right
Oh my
side
goodness.
disappeared. I just saw the left side. I closed my eyes, turned the lights off, put it back on, and all I can see is half of myself. No pain, no nothing. So my wife called the doctor and he said, I remember him clearly saying, get him to the hospital. He's having a stroke. Could you imagine hearing those words? Stroke, because
No.
what do you associate stroke with? Paralysis, long therapy, may not have the lifestyle that you're used to any longer. So those are the things that really bothered me. And at that moment, I think my blood pressure have hit the roof at that point because I just started panicking. I remember being in the hospital and the doctors, they were all over me, hoovering over me and doing all these tests to make sure everything was okay. They did the scan of my brain, and they determined that I was having not a regular stroke for the paralysis part of it, but I was having, I experienced what they call an occipital lobe stroke that knocked out the right visual fields in both of my eyes. That is the first time I knew that both eyes have left and right in each eye. So the right visual fields in both of my eyes are gone. And to this day, it is that way. I remember the doctor, Cindy, I remember the neurologist coming into the room one day, and she said, Roy, uh, you will adjust to this. Your brain will adjust to this. And I just looked at her and said, how could this be possible? But it has been years later. And yes, my brain has adjusted to it, because that moment of depression that I was having there, I had to snap out of it. I really had to get to where I needed to be. During that period of time, it gave me that opportunity, Cindy, the opportunity to reassess my life and how I can contribute, because I no longer can perform my career work because of my visual impairment, but I feel I cannot just sit back. I have to do something. And what it is that I can do in this term.
That is absolutely amazing. And I remember when you were going through it, because it was very long hours, because I knew you were going through it at the time. What amazes me, Roy, is that you've never let that stop you. Many times I've been with you and nobody would know that you really don't see them the way that we see. And my funny use experience, and of course, sometimes I feel like Lucille Ball. I remember we were at a funeral and one of our dear friends died in Toastmasters. And not only you, but a few other people had sunglasses on. And I was so rude because I said, you cannot be in a funeral home with sunglasses. You look like the mafia. And you laughed and took off your sunglasses. But at that moment, I realized why you had them on, because I did not know, because you were very humble about it. And I appreciate you sharing this with us, because I have watched you be so successful in all the things that you have done. And you haven't let this stop you, which is just amazing. And I know that you came up with the second career of what you started doing with your own home country. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, as I started to say there, right? Time gave me the opportunity to reassess my life. And when I looked at things, And I figured, what can I do to contribute, apart from speaking with people that have similar issues with what I'm going through, and to reassure them that, they're going to be okay. In February of 2016, I just had, everybody would say you have this epitome of something that's just going to hit you and you know what it is that you're supposed to do in life. Well, in February of 2016, I stepped out of my comfort zone to try and solve a suicide epidemic in my birth country of Guyana.
Wow.
It was a big undertaking. And what came about is one night I was reading the online news, and it said how in Guyana there was the highest suicide rate per capita in the world. It was like 44 people to every 100,000. And I'm like, this small country is pretty much going to have nobody left at the rate it was going. And I remember telling my wife, I said, we have to do something. And she said, we is two. And you're going to do this. I said, no, we are going to try to do something. And within 1 month, I was on a plane to Guyana, talking to students, talking to kids, especially in the areas that were hard hit, where the suicide rate was high. I spoke to a lot of the high schools within the communities, and reassuring these children that they have a purpose. We just have to find that purpose and that passion and ignite it, and let them see that there is a bright future ahead of them, because we couldn't let this happen. For those of you who know Guyana, it's a very small country at the tip of South America. Not all the luxuries that we are used to having here in the United States. So the volunteer work do come across, and speaking to those youths out there made a difference, because a lot of them who were contemplating killing themselves today are helping others save themselves as well.
That's
I felt,
absolutely
yeah.
amazing. I remember, and you're so humble. I remember when you were there and you spoke not just to one school, but like 16 schools. They kept calling you and calling you. And one time I remember this story, they picked you up at the hotel. You thought you were being kidnapped, and they took you to the news station and they said, Mr. Ganga, you have 30 minutes to address the government, the students, and the families. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Cindy, that was a heart-racing experience for me, because you think you're going to do one thing, right? And then next thing you know, you end up in a TV studio. And I remember just talking to the producer. I just sat down there talking to him, and he said, well, you have, he pointed to the news desk, and he said, you have half an hour to tell the country what you're doing.
Wow.
And I froze, because I was not prepared for that. My wife was with me, and here's an inside Toastmasters joke, because my wife was me, and she's also a Toastmaster. And I turned to her and I said, what do I do? She said, Toastmasters. Just think about what you need to say it, and move on. Don't dwell too much on everything. So I remember I hear the countdown in my ear, and we went live. And once I opened my mouth, everything came out, because it's what it is that, you speak from the heart, you speak from what it is that you're doing to help. But the fear came when I saw that news desk, because I expected somebody to be interviewing me, like, oh, we're talking here. But it was a solo performance. And I felt I got my message across.
I believe that's your whole purpose in life. That was an amazing journey, and I hope one day you'll write a book about it. Just hint, hint. And Roy, I've learned so much from you. So where do you go from here now? What are you doing now?
Well, I have not let this hidden disability stop me from doing the things that I would like to do, that I want to do. I found my passion in certain things in the areas that I want to work with. And through that passion, it ignited my purpose in life and what I want to do to help others get better. I'm still actively involved in Toastmasters, keep my mental sanity and going. I'm also serving on the board of directors for Toastmasters. You mentioned that in your opening, which gives me an opportunity to network even wider and try to get folks who have the knowledge that I can probably recruit and take back to Guyana, just to help these people or to talk to them, the more expert knowledge-based folks. I would tell you, it is a very rewarding experience. Life is unpredictable and too fragile to let it slip away. We have to be resilient and resolute in our actions to find our passion and define your purpose. And that is what every one of us need to do. We need to find the passion in us, ignite that passion, and turn it into the purpose of why we are here. It may not happen immediately, but don't give up. Because if you give up, you're just throwing in the towel, and there are many other people out there who need your assistance and your guidance.
That's a
Reach out.
great message. That's a great message. And that was my last question that I wanted to ask you is, what one lesson have you learned that you would like to give us?
And the one thing I would say to people is don't give up, because I could have easily given up. Going back to when I was in that hospital and that moment of depression that I was in, I could see how it could have derailed my life. And I would not have been able to help others and, deal with the things that I'm dealing with now and doing the things that I'm doing now. Don't give up. Have that fortitude to move forward, and you will be successful. In the process, you will be amazed at how many people lives you will touch in the process.
That's awesome. And I can't help myself, but I wrote a quote saying, if you give up, you might be giving up some of your best moments in life. And
Definitely.
that's for another day for me to share. But I'm so excited, and I could talk to you for hours, but this is the very first show, so we want to keep it short for right now. But I will have you back as a guest because you have many different talents. I do want to set the record straight, though. For many of you that know us, my husband's name is Roy, and let me assure you, Roy Ganga is separate from Roy Cannon. And even Roy Cannon will do a show one day. I will ask him to be a guest. But for those of you that are a little confused, no, he is not my husband. Roy Ganga is not my husband.
I've heard the same, Cindy, and I just smile. I just smile every time they said, "Is Cindy your wife?" And I just smile.
No, Val might say we talk too much, like husband and wife, but no. And I'm so excited to have you on the show today and to be the very first guest on Conversations with Cindy, because you and I have been talking about this for about 2 years now. And I look forward to our next show as well. It's somebody that you know, Jay Hickson. A lot of people know him. One day we were talking and Jay said he was 83. And I said, you know what? You're the oldest person I know. Everybody makes me the oldest person, but you are older than me and the oldest person I know. And Jay said, I'm the oldest person I know too. So because of that, we're going to put the oldest man on and let him share his wisdom with us as he joins the group of Conversation with Cindy. I look forward to our next show. Roy Ganga, thank you so much for being on here. I look forward to seeing the great things that you're going to do. And if you would like to help Roy with his mission in life, please, Roy, tell us, how can they get in touch with you?
They can reach out to me at Roy Ganga at bellsouth.net. That's ROYGANGA at bellsouth, BELLSOUTH.net.
That's awesome. We will be posting this out there for you to see, pass out to your friends. And a little secret, we are going to do a drawing after I release 5 different videos, and each speaker will be giving a giveaway of something. Roy, what will you be giving away?
For the lucky person, they have my company for an hour where I can coach them on what it is that they need to do to find their purpose.
Awesome. That's great. Now, I think I'm going to do that. I haven't told anyone that. This is all new. So don't judge me on productivity, on technical difficulties and bloopers. We definitely will have them because this is not rehearsed. This is just us being us as Conversations with Cindy. Different living rooms. And congratulations. Have a great life and keep doing what you're doing and giving us everything back. We appreciate everything that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Cindy, for